This is a 78 CR250. What the job today is to measure everything up to make sure that when I come to do the rebuild that everything's going to go okay. So in 2019, Phil and I raced a couple of Husqvarnas, vintage Husqvarnas. I was on a 430. Phil started off on a 420 auto, and then he made the switch up to a 500. We did okay during the season, but we kind of thought to ourselves that we'd probably do better on a smaller capacity two-stroke bike. We've always loved the CR250 redrockets, the Elsinores. So we've sourced ourselves a couple that we're going to do up to race for the 2020 season. But obviously with coronavirus, it hasn't really worked out. So we've slowly been putting these bikes together, and now as we start moving into August, we've got a 2-day event coming up at the end of August at Hawkstonepark, and then again in September we've got a 2-day event at Farleigh Castle. So we need to get these bikes finished. So my bike is looking relatively good, but there's a few bits that need finishing on it, and Phil's bike is not looking so good. It's had an engine rebuild and it's not as complete as mine at the minute. One of the big jobs on these bikes that we need to do is to build the wheels. Now, Phil and I have never built wheels before, and we're not underestimating the difficulty of the job, but it's something that we keep talking to ourselves that we need to do. So we're gonna make a start on that today. This is my bike. This is a 78 CR250. It hasn't had an engine rebuild. The engine was running perfectly well before. The previous owner had stripped the tank back to bare metal, and they'd actually run it as a flat track bike, so they'd done all kinds of, that's why the rear tyre is as it is. I've swapped the front wheel for a different front wheel. They'd had a front wheel without a brake in it and stuff like that. And so if you take a look at the wheel, you can see all the spokes are rusty. The rim is cracked. This one is really badly cracked. There's actually cracked in the middle there. So what the job today is to measure up everything to do with these wheels, check the spokes that I've bought, check the widths of the rims match with these. So get them on a wheel trimming stand, and just measure everything up to make sure that when I come to do the rebuild that everything's going to go okay. Then I'm going to completely dismantle them, and I'm going to take the brake plates and the hubs to a powder coaters to get powder coated. So that's going to take a few days. So I'm going to do this job today, dismantle them, and then take the hubs and the brake plates to the powder coaters, get them powder coated. They'll be back in a few days, and then my learning journey really starts then when I try to reassemble the wheels and make them straight and true. So now I've got the tyre off the wheel, and I've got the sprocket off, which was a bit of a pain because obviously those bolts have been in there a long time. I'm now left with just the plain wheel, which I've put in the wheel trim stand. So the critical thing is here, I need to make sure that I know what the spoke pattern is. So I'm going to take a picture of both sides, a detailed picture of both sides of the spokes, and then I'm going to take some measurements. So I'm going to measure the distance from the edge of the truing stand to the hub of the wheel. and then I'm going to measure the width of the rim, because we're going with a more modern, a 19-inch rim, and I'm relatively certain that it's a slightly different measurement, so I want to get that measurement perfectly right. And then the other critical point is to find out the distance between the rim and the touring machine on both sides. And then if I've got all of those measurements, when I come to put the new rim on, once I've had the hub powder coated and everything, then I should be able to work out the correct offset for the new rim. So there we go. So we now have one hub. This is a piece of the hub that bolts onto the side of it, and one brake plate. I now no longer have a wheel to go in the back of my bike. And now, so that's taken a good few hours, I'm going to crack on with getting the front wheel done as well.